I go to the doctor today and tell them my arm is hurting because it feels really bad, chop it off. The doctor's gonna be like, no, we're not going to chop it off. We're going to do some x-rays and some tests. No, I'm like, no, my arm's really hurting. I feel it. I don't want my arm no more. I want you to chop it off. They're not going to just base whatever I say on my feelings and take me to surgery and amputate me. So if I walk in the doctor and say, I feel like a female, I want to chop off my penis. They're like, okay, just sign over here. We're going to fucking do the surgery. It'll cost you 40 grand. The government pays for it. It's based on your feelings. Why would they not want to get me checked out and say, you maybe should go talk to someone first?
So they do.
Not when it comes to what you're talking about. Children nowadays, especially in Canada, they've passed the bill now that if the child is 12 or older, they don't need parents' consent. They talk to a counselor. They go in for a 15-minute session with a doctor. Most of these doctors are afraid to say no because they'll get canceled. So they agree automatically after a 15-minute consultation. And they automatically sign, give them hormone pills, whether it's testosterone pills or estrogen pills.
There's a lot more that you have to go through in order to be able to prove that, especially when it comes to gender affirming care. In terms of like, so the reason I think having tampons in a men's bathroom is a good idea is because a lot of people aren't able to go through that transition because they don't have the money, right? And like, yes, for some people, if it is deemed appropriate due to the mental health reasons, they are allowed to have it subsidized through the government. But that's not the case for everybody. That's not the case for non-binary people who don't choose to transition, but choose to present themselves as male. And therefore, it would be limiting to those people, someone who looks and presents as a male, to have to be forced to go into a female's bathroom. That would make other
What do you mean by forced? It's a choice.
So
not forced.
If they are non-binary and they are presenting as male.
Once again, define presenting as male.
So presenting as
if I have a beard.
You can have a beard, you can dress masculine. You can dress masculinely. You can wear male clothing. You can.
But lesbians who are in couples, when you have the one who's taking the lead and play, so they dress that way. So does that mean that they're giving us the wrong?
It's not taking the lead. It's just one of them presents masc and one of them presents femme.
So does that mean that
not
person
necessarily for all lesbian relationships?
No, but the ones there are. So should those ones be using male bathrooms?
No, because they are female and they identify as female, right? So like what we're getting into is like, I understand the premise that gender identity is coming from a feeling rather than a physical attribute, which is entirely correct. Like,
no, it is coming from a physical attribute, from their brain, how they feel. So it's not about what attribute it comes from. It's talking about feelings are not facts. So if I feel like a female today, with the way that the laws are, tomorrow I could feel like a male, and I can now go back into a male bathroom.
Yes, so, and you'd be classified as non-binary.
Whether I can classify in any classification you like. I'm allowed to go into a female bathroom. If today I'm a pervert, I go to Oakville Place and I want to walk into a girl's bathroom because a cute girl walked in. If they stop me, I say identify as a female. They can't stop me. So that's kind of fucked. You're opening up this door, this Pandora's box of you've got all these people who are pedophiles and all kinds of shit. I understand that there are people who do have an identity issue. I totally agree with that. But those people, they still also need mental help. Just because a child grows up, a boy who's 12 and he's very feminine going into puberty, now he sees a counselor and the counselor's like, well, maybe you have more feminine qualities. Have you considered this? Now they're planting the shit in the kid's head. It's like, yeah, you know what? Maybe I am a female. And now the school will allow him to change his name. The school will allow him to dress differently. The school does not tell the parents. That's the laws in Canada. They don't have to tell the parents at all. And there's been cases where parents find out 2 years later after the school counselor connected with the family doctor behind the parents' back, made an appointment, and the kid's already transitioning.
So the counselor the counselor's not being allowed to talk to the parents comes from like your typical psychiatrist and counselor understanding that like there's a therapist and like there's a client confidentiality, right?
No, not when it comes to school counselors.
So, but the thing is, a lot of children will go through these processes without telling their parents for fear of retribution from their parents.
That's a very small percentage. You cannot.
That's not true.
Yeah, it is. And they've already done surveys on that. And when it comes to the numbers, most parents are very accepting, but they do feel the child, just because they feel like a female, if it's a boy, shouldn't automatically be given the green light to transition. They do feel there should be some kind of intervention, go see a psychiatrist, talk to a doctor. And after they've gone through all that and they've still determined that yes, then okay. But just because they talk to a counselor, when you talk to a counselor at school, there's no confidentiality. They're not psychologists.
No, they're not.
It's just a fucking teacher. And they're playing God, basically. So they feel that they care more about the child than the parents do, and that they have the child's best interests in mind more so than the parents, which is fucked.
Half the time they see more of the kids than the parents do.
But that doesn't mean that automatically you have more care for the child than a parent does.
Sometimes it does.
But
I've seen lots of parents that couldn't give a shit about their kids.
But those are the exceptions. The majority aren't like that. The majority of parents care about their children. There are exceptions in every area, but that doesn't mean that you have to have a blanket statement saying all parents don't give a shit. I'm a parent. I care about my kids. I know a lot of parents, and every parent that I know cares about their kids. Yeah. So they care more than the teacher does. The teacher's job is academic, not psychology, not about what they should feel or not feel. It should be about 1 + 1 is 2, red is red, blue is blue, green is green. Now they're kind of getting into this area that has to do with parenting. So it has to do with their religious values, their morals that they have, and their ethical values and all that they have.
Yeah, but that stuff's taught in school.
No, but it isn't. It's taught in school when it comes to an academic version of it, but not about ideologies. Like, no, it's school. If you go to public school, Catholic,
that's totally different.
No, but that's Catholic. No, you're giving me analogies that are confirming what I'm saying. If you're talking about Catholic school, then why don't we talk about Jewish schools? Of course, they're going to talk about Judaism or Islamic schools. That's a private school you're talking about. But a public school is not going to push Catholicism on all the kids. They don't have a church inside there. It's a public school.
No, that's fair.
So public
systematically
schools,
they do, because that's how Western culture was built.
No, but public schools don't. So my daughters go to public school.
Okay.
And they're not taught that they should follow Catholicism. They're taught about all the main faiths.
That's fantastic.
But that's what they should do. But a private school, yeah. So if my daughter goes to a Catholic school, it's a fucking Catholic school. Of course, they're going to talk about Catholicism and Jesus and Mary and God and whatever. Why would I put my daughter into a Catholic school if I don't believe in God? I'm atheist. That makes no sense.
Right.
But in school, it's academic. That's what counts. Now, if you're going to be taking young kids from the age of 4 and talking to them and asking them what gender they are, that's fucked. A 4-year-old child has no fucking clue about anything. And there's been tests that have been done over and over again with young children. So there was a silly video, and I talked about this to the girls before as well too, where they had a 4-year-old kid, really cute little kid, Tyler. And the person talking was an adult and said, okay, Tyler, here's $10,000. Okay? You can take this, or you can take the next thing I'm going to give to you. And he put out 2 Oreo cookies. And the kid said, I want the Oreo cookies. He said, no, Tyler, you can buy endless Oreo cookies with this money. It's like, nope, this is what I want. And they talked for 10 minutes, and the kid wanted the fucking Oreo cookies. Now you're going to tell me that fucking kid knows if he's a male or a female at 4 years old? That's fucked. Now you're planting that shit in their head. So when we had Kathleen Wynne, who was the premier of Ontario, she changed the curriculum so kids in grade 3 were being taught anal sex. Now tell me, what kid who's in grade 3?
I don't actually think that that's part of the education right now.
Not now, but I'm saying when Kathleen Wynne, when the Liberal Party was ruling, she changed the curriculum.
I remember that.
So she was talking about anal sex, lesbians, gay. She added all that shit in with kids who are in grade 3, grade 4, grade 5. A kid who's in grade 3 is 7 years old or 8 years old. In grade 5, they're 10. You're talking about anal sex to them?
Yep. They
They have no fucking idea what that is. It's the wrong age.
So
12, 13, 14, I get it.
That for sex, yes, that conversation is probably too young. But for different relationship types, so different orientations, both romantic and sexual, I think it's important for them.
But sexual, again, is back to sex. You just said about sex, there should be a certain age.
Correct.
So how do you differentiate
so then
that?
What you do is you talk about the fact that orientation is on a spectrum, and that you can have a romantic orientation and you can have a sexual orientation.
So you think a 4-year-old should be taught that?
They can be taught that 2 parents can have the same gender.
Now,
they should be, because what happens
do you have
to
children?
No.
So if when you have a child and you actually interact with this child every day, all the time, and when your child becomes 4, you'll really realize, their mental capacity. And that is beyond their mental capacity. They can't even make sense of, they can't even tie their fucking shoes at 4.
Okay.
They can't even cut their own food.
So then what do you say to like the kid who comes home and goes, Mommy or Daddy, why do they have 2 moms?
So great. I'm happy you brought that up. So again, you're proving my point that question is for the parent, not the fucking school.
That's true. Yeah.
So the parent
should absolutely be for the
But that's the problem. So earlier on, you said about teachers because they spend more time with the kids. That's the problem. So you've got academic overlapping now and getting into their parenting. So if my daughter comes home, and I've had that conversation where one of their friends, they have 2 moms.
Cool.
Okay. And I said, that happens. And that was it. I don't have to explain to them how it came to, because they don't have that concept. Their brain is not at that level yet. I'm just going to confuse the fuck out of them, right?
That's fair.
And I tell them, I said, don't judge. It's totally fine. Religiously with what we believe, no. We don't believe a man can marry or a woman can marry. That's our religious belief. It's our home values. But nothing against them. They do it. Good for them. You're not going to judge them on it, whatever. It is what it is, but it does happen. But I'm not going to get into this whole analogy of, well, this is how it started. This is what happened. This is what's going to take place. The kids fuck now. They're not, if they're 12, 13, their mental capacity is there. You discuss that then. The same way when it comes to being able to drive a car or being able to do drugs or to be able to drink, there's age limits for all that. Because they know if a 15-year-old was allowed to drink, they're going to fucking die of alcohol poisoning or kill themselves somehow. So there's age restrictions for a reason. Otherwise, people are going to abuse it. When you get to a certain age, you're able to grasp things better. If a 4-year-old child being asked, are you a boy or a girl? He might think he's he's Paw Patrol. He might think he's a dog or he's a car because he watches cartoons. You're confusing the fuck out of him now. You can be anything. You want to be a penguin? Yeah, I want to be a penguin. I watched that movie Happy Feet. I want to be a penguin. Okay, like he's 4 years old. So the schools, I feel, their job is academic. The question, if a child has that question is to be asked of the parent, because the parent has a right to answer it any which way they want based on their religious values and home values. And we cannot shove that down people's throat and say, you must have the same home values that I do. No, who the fuck are you?
No, you're totally correct. We can't ask people to have the same values.
Yeah.
But part of the reason I think that it's important for schools to be teaching it is because often, and like, obviously, you're a great parent for being like, look, according to our religion, no, but other people do it. And that's okay. And like that amount of respect is wonderful. But unfortunately, that amount of respect doesn't present itself frequent enough.
Nikki, who's to decide what amount of respect is allowed? Who is to make that judgment call? Oh, the right response, the parent. It's their decision.
When the parent is teaching a child intolerance and that they should not respect somebody's choices or someone's orientation, that's when it crosses a line.
But once again, who is deciding on where that line is? It's not your decision. It's my kids. So if I tell people that she doesn't believe in God, she's going to burn in hell. That's my religious belief. You're going to tell me I'm not allowed to say that? Fucking right, I am.
You're absolutely allowed to say that.
No, but someone will take offense to that and go, no, that's offensive. I don't believe in God. Doesn't mean I'm going to burn in hell. There's no such thing as hell.
So you're allowed to tell your kids she doesn't believe in God. She's going to burn in hell.
Okay.
But when you start making it so that they judge other people for those choices.
How are they not going to judge? They're going to think that person's going to hell.
So then tell them and explain. No,
but you cannot, once again, I appreciate your point. You cannot tell a parent what he is to say or not to say to his child. It's based on their family value. So when I grew up.
Which is why you're given the option to opt out of these things.
No, but I'm saying at home, not about, now you're getting back to the school thing. We were talking about with parents. Parents, when they're talking to their kids about certain things, they should say it in a PC way. No, fuck that. When I was younger, some girls that I dated, I'm talking like when they were 15 or 14, the parents were okay with the boyfriend sleeping over. And they knew that their daughter was knocking boots. They didn't give a fuck. But then there's other people who said, no fucking way. You have a boyfriend, he's not sleeping over. That's that. That's a family rule. I can't be like, well, no, come on now. You got to be liberal. No, fuck that. It's the family rule. It's up to them. If some family doesn't drink, they don't believe in alcohol, they think alcohol is a sin, or they think gambling's a sin or eating pork's a sin, that's their belief. And if I tell my kids, hey, you're not allowed to drink, drinking is forbidden completely. It's a sin if you drink. Now they see someone drinking, they're going to say, hey, you're sinning. Does that mean that, oh my God, I shouldn't have told them that? No, it's my fucking kid.
No, but it just means that you should teach children to respect when other people aren't following the same things you do.